In the NFL playoffs 2 years ago, there was a really, really bad missed call. Pass interference should have been called against the Rams. It would have helped the Saints, and it likely cost the Saints from going to the Super Bowl. So last year, as a response to that, the NFL made it possible for teams to challenge pass interference calls, and the hope was, it had good intention, the goal was to not have badly, blatantly missed calls. And it went poorly. Calls were missed, and now next year, the NFL is going back to the way things were before. You can no longer, pass interference replay is no longer a thing, it will not return, and the rule is gone. You cannot challenge pass interference next year in the NFL. And here's what's really sad to me. Here is the big loss, the big, big failure, the sad reality here. It was just poorly executed. The execution never matched the intent. So in that NFC Championship game 2 years ago, Rams versus Saints, it was really bad, really blatant, really obvious. And the original intent behind making a pass interference replay rule, the reason it was made, was to stop blatant and obvious calls from being missed. You don't want to have blatant and obvious pass interference calls get missed and not be solved or fixed. It's a common sense problem. Now, the problem is that once you gave NFL coaches the opportunity, the availability to challenge pass interference, they challenged everything. And you can't blame the coaches. I get it. They're very competitive. If they think they have a chance, a slight opportunity to win a challenge or, overturn a pass interference, they're going to try to make it happen. And we saw everything. When we saw replay of pass interference, oh man, every little frame was analyzed millisecond by millisecond. We saw in slow motion. And when you slowed everything down, it was very clear, oh my gosh, the refs have missed a lot. When you watch things in slow motion, sometimes you don't like what you find. And fans were mad. And I understand why fans were mad, because when you watch something in slow motion, a lot of the time it's more clear than when you watch full speed, whatever. And it's just sad to me that the original intent of the rule was lost. The original reason for making the rule, people forgot about it. Because when you watch something in slow motion, all pass interference can look really blatant and really obvious. You can make an argument that it looks very clear and obvious when you're watching millisecond by millisecond. Well, clearly he touched him before this. Yes, I get it. Again, the tools required to slow things down, you can see it very obviously. But the rule was created to stop pass interference like what happened against the Saints 2 years ago. You didn't need slow motion for that one. When you're watching it in real time, when you're watching it live, you went, that's clearly a missed call. You didn't need replay to figure that one out. And what's sad is that, about the replay pass interference challenge is that having it removed means you lost a chance at common sense. We've now lost an opportunity to do the right thing when there's a clear, obvious miss. We don't have that anymore. That's the loss here. That's the problem. Fans were all upset about really close calls that I don't care about. Tiny moments where it comes down to the millisecond. Don't care. I personally don't care about those calls because, hey, they're so close, whatever. But what's sad is that the NFL doesn't even have the ability now to overturn really, really obvious mistakes. A couple years ago, Armando Galarraga threw a perfect game in baseball. And the reason, on the very last out, would have been the very last out to make it a perfect game, the umpire blew the call. And I remember sitting in my house going, why can't you just say this one time? Use common sense. He was out. The umpire missed the call. Armando Galarraga should have a perfect game. And at the time I was just going, where is the common sense here? Why can't we get what's right? When you watch the Saints and the Rams game, common sense is, hey, that's a penalty. You can't tackle a guy when the ball's in the air to keep him from catching the ball on the 2-yard line. Should have been a penalty. And everybody knew it. And when it happened, the NFL went, oh crap. We don't have a system in place to overturn a really badly missed call. And so all I want some kind of way to enforce common sense where I don't care about the really close, debatable penalties. If it's like millisecond by millisecond, if you have to watch it in slow motion to determine it, I don't want that. I don't care about that. But it's sad we don't have some kind of common sense rule to combat a really obvious miss where you have the Saints-Rams game or you have the Armando Galarraga thing in baseball where it's clearly an obvious miss. It's like, why can't we just use common sense and overturn that? That's all I ask. I don't know how I wish there was a better system in place. Now, somebody's got to comment, well, the NFL did miss obvious calls last year. You can argue that if you want. Again, those misses were only obvious if you were watching with slow motion. I just want a way to avoid the very worst of the very worst. 2 years ago, there was nothing. There was no rule. Then last year, the pendulum swung way too far the other way, and every single little pass interference call was challenged. And I just want to find some sort of middle ground. It's sad the NFL gave up on the rule after 1 year because coaches were figuring out how it worked. You saw a lot of experimentation in the beginning of the year going, hey, it looks close, let's challenge that. Oh, we're not going to win that. And the coaches learned as the year went on, hey, we can only win certain ones. And it's just sad that, again, I go back to this, really obvious, badly missed calls cannot be changed. To me, that seems like common sense. And it's just sad we don't have that. It makes me go, oh, really? We really don't have a way to solve that in the NFL. Seems like a silly missed opportunity.